All right, everybody, welcome into the channel. Today we're going to be making our NBA playoff predictions, play in through the championship game. Let me know down below in the comments, who do you guys think is going to take home the chip this year? But without further ado, let's get into our play in picks. Out east, we have the 7 versus 8, Philly versus Miami, battling for the 7 spot and the right to take on the Knicks. So in the first play in game, we have Philly and Embiid versus Jimmy Butler and the Heat battling for the 7th spot. Brandon, who do you got in your first play-in game?
I'm going to stick with the Miami Heat in this game. I still feel like this team is really good in these type of situations. The Sixers haven't been super consistent all year. They're really focused on Joel Embiid having 30, but I think he might not be 100%. I know he's coming back.
Right.
We'll see exactly how healthy he is, but I definitely like the Heat in a one-game, one and done situation.
That's a very interesting pick. Miami, we know their postseason success in the prior years, how deep they get. And it almost seems I'm accustomed to Miami being deep in the playoffs, so I can understand why you're taking Miami. But me personally, I think Embiid is going to be the best player on the court. Maxi's had a tremendous season, over 20, basically 25 points a game and 6 assists. Nobody thought we'd see that type of production this quick from Maxi. So I'm going to pick Philly in this first game to go on to the 7th seed. And I understand you're going to pick.
Yeah, I think Jimmy Butler can lock him down a little bit for one game. Like, he can hold him under 20 for one game.
Playoff Jimmy, playoff Jimmy. So moving on to the second play-in game in the East, we have the 9-seeded Bulls versus the 10-seeded Hawks battling for the 8th spot. Who do you got in this game, Brandon?
I think I'll take the Hawks, even though it's really whoever wins is going to get beat the next round. Like, the Bulls,
they're going to move on.
That's a team that's had trade rumors all year. So it's like both these teams are on the same level. So it's like I can see the Bulls, winning a quick game.
They're going to have to win twice to get that 8th seed. So you're picking the Bulls. I agree. I'm going to pick the Bulls to play the loser of the 7-8 to decide the 8th seed. So in my bracket, I had Philly moving on the first play-in game. So I have the Bulls versus the Heat in this play-in to decide the 8, and I'm going to have the Heat as my 8.
Right on. Yeah, I think the Heat are gonna if they get the 8 seed, oh well. Like if they can move up to the 7, like I think they can get the Knicks. That's another good series, which we'll get to.
So you have Bulls versus Philly battling for the 8th spot. Who do you have getting in?
Probably Philly, because Embiid can, he can take that team. Like the Bulls aren't a very good defensive team. I just don't trust they're kind of a volume team. So
right.
I think Maxi and Embiid, that duo can handle a 9 seed, even though they have had their struggles, but they'll be all right.
And I'm glad we have some variety in our picks here. So in the first round, the official first round of the East, to me, it's a tough series. In my bracket, we're going to have Celtics versus Heat in this one, and I have the Celtics in 4. I have the Celtics in a sweep. Jason Tatum has had an MVP caliber season. The Boston Celtics have the #1 record in the NBA. Tatum's the best player on the best team, and he's really not even a consideration for MVP. If you look at all the analysts, he's not even finishing, nowhere near #1. So to me, that's criminal that the best player on the best team isn't getting MVP vibes. But I think Tatum and the Celtics handle business, to me, regardless of who they were playing in the in round 1 versus 8, it was going to be a quick series. Yeah. Me in round 2, I'm going to have the Knicks versus the Sixers, and to me, this is my upset. I have the Sixers beating the Knicks. The Knicks are without Julius Randle. He's a 25-10 player. Like, you're going to be missing that in the playoffs. Embiid, I honestly think the Knicks are in trouble. Yeah. So I have the Knicks winning.
Well, I'll have Miami in that situation, so I'm still going to have the Heat winning that series as well.
Wow.
So
that's an upset. That's big. A play-in team coming in, beating a 2 seed.
I don't have them going past that point, but I do think that they're a team that can win a couple rounds, especially you're getting the Knicks team potentially without Randall, right?
Right.
And I haven't trusted that squad all year. I know they have a high seed, but I still think a battle-tested team. It's going to come down to that.
So you had Philly going up here to play
Right.
Boston. So how's that series looking out?
It's probably going to be the Celtics in probably 5 games. They've been excellent this year. Their defense, their perimeter defense is off the charts. Uh, Tatum's efficiency is up, and Tatum's also a great defensive player. He's not just a one-way guy.
Right.
So when you factor in all that and the fact that we've seen this team over the years get deep into the East Finals, so it's like I definitely respect this team, and they're always making deep runs.
Right. That's basically their floor. They're always
Yeah.
going to get to the conference finals, it seems. Can they get over that hump? When they added Porzingis, they added Drew Holiday. I thought this offseason, or last offseason, man, the Celtics are winning a championship.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, I'm thinking about Beal and Booker and KD and them boys out in Phoenix. I'm thinking about Dallas. I'm thinking about the Clippers. I'm thinking about Denver. There's so many teams who can come out here and win it. So moving on to the 3-6 in the East, we have the Bucks versus the Pacers. To me, the Bucks championship or bust. That's why you got Damian Lillard. You're in a win now situation with Giannis Antetokounmpo. They lost in the first round as a 1 seed to Miami last year. So imagine if LeBron lost in the first round in his prime. What would the media say? So
Exactly.
Giannis is on a revenge tour, and I want to see the Bucks handle business in a 5-game series, 4-1.
I have the Bucks winning, but it's going to be a tough series. Halliburton, like he's a dimer, he's going to be racking up assists, and Lillard's not exactly a lock, so he's going to have to trade blows offensively. Um, Lillard's going to have, or excuse me, Giannis is going to have to make sure he rebounds well. But the Pacers are a team that they have more talent than your average 6 seed.
They got Siakam. That's a big pickup for the Pacers.
They got the kid Mathern, and they got obviously Halliburton. If he's going to be getting 13 assists a game, that means their offense is going to be rolling.
Right.
So I got the Bucks winning the series in 6 games, but it's not going to be not going to mop the floor with them.
Right. To me, the Pacers started hot during the in-season play-in tournament. I think they peaked early. I think this team, and it's a completely different scenario, but I'm just saying, last year when Kyrie went to Dallas, there's a 13-game sample size. Look how much better they are this year. I think the Pacers are a year too soon. I think they're going to be much better next year. It's just not their time right now. Giannis is in win-now mode like when LeBron was in Miami. Dame Dalla is in win-now mode. To me, if this series is close, it shows me the Bucks aren't ready. To me, I'm using this series as a litmus test. Are you championship caliber or
Right.
are you not? So to me, I want to see the Bucks handle business, but regardless, we both have the Bucks advancing in this series. Now, the next one is a surpriser. It's a toss-up.
Orlando.
The 4-5 matchup in the East, first round, Cavs versus Orlando.
Orlando's been better all year, right? So I probably will just take them, even though they're the lower seed. Like I still would take them probably in 5 games because they're probably gonna steal one on the road, and then they're gonna go home and win there too. So like in this situation, it's almost good to be the lower seed when you're the better team.
Right.
So it's like
Banchero is a beast, a number one pick in his second year, his sophomore season, leading his team to the championship, and nobody's talking about it. I think this kid's very good. I think Donovan Mitchell, he's probably the better player in this series just because of postseason experience. We've seen what he's done against Russ when he was younger in the playoffs against the Thunder. But I don't think the Cavs supporting cast is as good as people claim. I think a lot of those guys are overrated. I think Evan Mobley's a little bit overrated. I think Jarrett Allen is overrated. Garland is their only other guy alongside Mitchell who's that punch. And I think he's a tad overrated. I could name a lot of guards better. Let's just be honest. I could name a lot of young guards better who just came into the league. So
they're going to struggle to score in this series.
I see Orlando taking this in 7. This is going to be a dogfight. To me, this is a very entertaining series. A lot of people probably won't watch it because they're not locked in how normal basketball fans are. But this is a sleeper series. I think these games you're going to see some overtime games. The pace, very young players in this series. So it's guys trying to make a name for themselves, etch their name.
Went around in the playoffs. That's good.
So I got the Orlando moving on to play the Celtics in the second round, and I have the Bucks moving on to play Philly in the second round. What are your second round?
I'll have Miami playing the Bucks, so we know that's going to be a rivalry game. I think this time the Bucks are going to win, um, but it's going to be Bucks Heat in that. It's gonna, another 6 game series. Giannis and Jimmy always go at it. I just don't think the Heat are going to have enough. I think they're going to be good, but they're not going to be able to make it all the way back there.
Right.
And once again, we're going to see the Heat as an 8 seed win a couple rounds.
Well, the Bucks are a lot better than they were last year.
They're not
I can't
better
say
defensively.
but overall, tougher to beat in a 7 game series. I can't say the same for Miami. How did they get better from last year to this year?
Right. They just kind of stayed the same.
Exactly. So I definitely like that pick. Like I said, I have Boston playing Orlando.
I have the same thing.
How do you see that series going?
So I think Boston's going to be eager to get past this team. They're going to be more excited. If they're looking ahead to the next round, it can be a tough series. You got to take care of business. It's probably going to be a 6 game series just because that team's going to have momentum. Maybe 5 games. I'll say 5. But Boston in 5 or 6 games, the teams tend to after you win a round, especially if off a competitive series, like they're going to have more confidence than they've had against Cleveland. But I definitely like the Celtics in this situation. They have the team. They have a much better starting lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boston, I agree.
Boston 5.
With that pick, you had Bucks versus Heat. I have Bucks versus Sixers in that second round. To me, this is interesting, but I still have the Bucks. Like I said in the beginning, championship or bust. You have to handle business. You have to be on a mission. And Dame Dalla is at the point in his career where if they don't win it this year, there are reports that he's not happy with like the lifestyle that the city of Milwaukee presents him. It's a very boring city. There's really not much that incites him personally. So if they don't win, he might not be on the team, for the next 2 or 3 years. So I think they're going to have to win now. I got the Bucks matching up with the Celtics in the conference finals. And the Celtics, just like the Bucks, championship or bust. You add Porzingis.
I wouldn't say bust because of their age, but there's definitely pressure to win a title. But I wouldn't totally say like bust, blow it up.
In my mind, both of these teams are in win now mode.
Clippers.
So what does that mean? What does that mean? Celtics versus Bucks conference finals. Who do you have representing
these? You can go first.
7 game series right off the bat. 7 game series. I'm really torn, but I think the Celtics are going to advance to the finals. I think Tatum, he has really surprised me over the past 2 years. I know we've had our discussions privately about how good you think Tatum is, and I was kind of a few years ago, I'm not quite sure. He's really proven me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
He has that Kobe mentality. He hits the toughest shots in the world. He hits some tough shots, I'm telling you. Just like Kobe, the degree of difficulty on some of those shots that Tatum hits, that's what you need in the playoffs. As long as Tatum doesn't get hurt, man, like I think this Boston Celtics team is a little bit better than the Bucks team. I like the pieces. I like the roles that guys are playing, like a Holiday, like a Porzingis, so.
Yeah, Holiday's a big addition to this team. Remember, he was in Milwaukee last year, so it's like he's a great counter to Dame. Like, this is probably the best guy you could put on him, right?
They just signed Drew for a lot of money going into this postseason. They're betting on him, and Drew Holiday is another one of those players where years and years ago, he might have been out of the league for a minute. Remember that one stretch when he was with the Pelicans, and then it's like, where's he at? Then he reappears, completely refocused on his game. But who do you have winning that series?
I also have a 7 game series. I've got the Bucks barely finding a way to get out of here. I don't know if it's going to be 6 or 7, but I think the Bucks with you got 2 top 75 players. Some people don't think Lillard deserves it. Well, it's time for him to prove it that you're a top 75 player with Giannis and find a way to advance to the next round. You got Doc Rivers, who's going to be pushing the right buttons on the sideline. He has a history of getting the most out of stars. But it's definitely, I agree, Boston probably has the more complete roster. But as far as a great duo, as long as Giannis, if they're running their pick and rolls, if Giannis is averaging, 16 rebounds a game and is shooting 60% from the floor. Like the Bucks are really tough to beat. But it's all going to come down to the start in this series. Like if anybody falls down, like you know, big in the series, it's going to be. I don't see any comebacks. Like I feel like they're going to trade wins back and forth, back and forth. Uh, but Boston. If Boston wins, it'll be in 6. If the Bucks wins, it'll be in 7. That's how I feel about it, pretty much.
Right on. So who's your official pick?
The Bucks.
The Bucks. So I have the Celtics. You have the Bucks coming out of the East. Switching conferences. Going out west in the first play-in game, we have the Pelicans versus the Lakers. The winner advances to the 7th seed, and their big treat is the Denver Nuggets. So, to me, I don't see an advantage. Everyone's saying the Lakers should tank this game to avoid Denver and put themselves in a must-win scenario against probably the Golden State Warriors. I don't like that. Steph Curry in one game can send you packing. I don't like banking on tanking. I don't like cheating the basketball gods that way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the Lakers, I think they're going to handle business against the Pelicans, and they're going to move on to the 7th spot. And I have the Pelicans obviously losing, and they're going to play the winner of this 9-8, which I believe will be the Warriors. It'll be the Warriors versus Pelicans for the 8th spot, and I have the Warriors winning that one. So how do you have the play-ins going?
Pretty much the exact same. I think the Lakers should just win their game, earn their 7th seed, because at the very least, it gives you home court against somebody if some crazy stuff happens, like if an 8 seed or a 6 seed or whatever.
Right.
But I definitely like the Warriors in that playing game as well. The Kings have taken too many step backs this year. That they should be a lot better than they are. So yeah, I definitely like the rematch with the. I think the Nuggets would rather play the Pelicans. Like they don't want to. Nobody wants to.
Nobody wants to play LeBron and AD.
It's like So I definitely like just getting right to it. Like not having to wait to see it. It's just already like here's your crack at the champs, LeBron and AD. You get your crack at them early.
What do you say to the people who advise the Lakers to just play strategically, throw this first play-in game, and then you get the OKC Thunder first round?
You've got 2 chances to make you have 2 games to make the playoffs. You need 1 win to get in the playoffs. So you need to try to win both games. If you throw this game, now you're in a one and done situation, and if anything goes wrong, you're out. So you have to play to win both of these games. Like that's the only thing you can do.
Right. So we have it going the same then. The Lakers winning their first game against the Pelicans, advancing. Pelicans dropping to play the Warriors. Warriors going in to the 8th spot. So starting out with OKC versus Steph Curry as an 8 seed. How do you have that series going?
Oh my God, this is definitely a tough series. It'll be the 2nd year in a row where we're gonna have a crazy 1-8 matchup. Like I don't think Shea's won a playoff series in his career, right? So I'm gonna pick the Thunder to win this in 7 games or in 6 or 7 games. I think the Warriors are gonna make it real competitive, but their bench, Chris Paul's absence, they traded Poole. I just don't think they're gonna have enough unless. You have Steph and Clay. They're gonna both have to average, classic.
They're gonna have to go for 30.
It's like that's a tall order, and defensively they've all taken steps backwards. Like you're gonna put Draymond on Shea. Like I don't know what you're gonna Wiggins maybe. Like you got to have a great defensive player on them. But
is there any world where Golden State wins?
There's a world where they win if they can start up 2-0. If the road team can go in there, like. I would love to see this, by the way.
Steph go for 50 in game 1.
I've seen what Steph and Clay can do in OKC in that arena. Like, it's a great environment, and they thrive in that. But a veteran team like that, if they can find a way to go in there and win both games on the road, like
good luck winning in Golden State.
And now they're going home for 2 games. Like that's the recipe.
That young team can be rattled if LeBron can almost.
That's what I'm saying. But I would love to see that, but. Just to be safe, I'm going to pick the 1 seed that's been great all year. And the Warriors have struggled all year. They're a 10 seed for a reason. So I think they'll come up short. But from a rooting interest, I would like to see that. And like I said, if you can start up 2 on the road going home, that's a recipe for victory. If it's 0-2, then you're probably not going to be able to go tit for tat at that point.
Right.
So Thunder in 6 or 7.
I agree with everything you just said. I'm just gonna ditto that. Thunder in 6 or 7. I think it'll be a fun series to watch. I know Golden State isn't gonna get swept. They got Steph Curry, so that's definitely gonna be a hell of a series. But I got OKC and them young boys moving on. And now to the 2-7, Denver versus the Lakers, a rematch of last year's conference finals. To me, this is tough. Everybody knows I'm probably the biggest LeBron fan. We're still climbing that hill. Every fiber of my body, every year LeBron's in the league, I pick his team to win. But that's just the fan in me. Objectively speaking, the Lakers have the worst head coach in all of professional sports. Darvin Ham is the worst coach I've ever seen. Outside of LeBron and Anthony Davis, this is not a good roster. We're still down Jared Vanderbilt, who was supposed to be like a defensive guy who can switch everything for us. He's not there. Yeah. LeBron and AD are going to have to be Superman, and I know they can, but there's so many deficiencies that they have to make up. And I'll use a 2K reference. Anybody who plays 2K, you have a buddy who plays with you. You guys go into the rec together. Yeah, it's just you two, but you have 3 randos on your team. It doesn't matter. I could have 30 and 10. You could have 25 and 12. We're still going to lose because the other dudes are getting 30 hung on their head. They're playing no defense. They're turning the ball over. And that's what the Lakers have. The Lakers have a team of randos, essentially. And I think this is one of the worst rosters LeBron's ever had in his career.
Yeah.
This is one of the worst records a LeBron team has ever had in his career.
To beat the Nuggets.
And the Nuggets are a complete team.
Yeah.
The Nuggets are a complete team, and I'm gonna pick the Nuggets in 6 games. I don't think it's gonna be a sweep. A lot of those games were within 5 points last year, and D'Angelo Russell was bad. He's had a very good season this year. I think that's enough for about 2 games. But anything outside of that, LeBron's gonna have to put that cape on. So that's just, you're gonna have to tune in to watch that. But my official pick, I have Denver in 6.
Yeah, I've got the Nuggets. I feel like they're gonna dominate on the glass. AD's a good rebounder, but he's not gonna out rebound Joker and Aaron Gordon, combined. LeBron's gonna be he's gonna be running the point guard. He's gonna be having too much responsibility. He'll be trying to rest on defense,
backup center
when he can. So unless the Nuggets just go cold, like we've seen some D'Antoni teams, like 3-point shooting teams, where they just can't make anything.
And the Nuggets are prone to do that.
Like, you're gonna need some games like that. I'm obviously picking the Nuggets, but as far as recipe for success, it's similar to what we talked about with the Warriors and the Thunder. Like the Lakers need to come out and start really well. So I definitely got the Nuggets.
Yeah, to me, it's gonna be very interesting. The Nuggets, like you said, they're gonna have to be cold. They're going to have to be cold. Aaron Gordon cannot average 25.7 rebounds and 7 assists every time he plays the Lakers. That just cannot happen. He can't neutralize LeBron. But I think the Nuggets, champions until someone beats them, and I just don't think the Lakers have what it takes to beat them. So I have Denver moving on to round 2. In the 3-6 matchup, we have the Timberwolves versus the Suns. Can Kevin Durant put together a historic playoff run like we're so used to seeing, or is the Timberwolves an ant and these young boys just too much?
This is also a tough series. Like I respect veterans so much. Like it's hard for me to pick against them, especially when they're playing a team that has never won. Like
an unproven team.
Edwards is unproven. Like similar to Shea, he's never actually won a playoff series. But like the T-Wolves have looked better all year. But as far as the Suns are one of those teams that's built for a series. Like you got to deal with these 3 guys, and with Beal, KD, and Booker. Like they're gonna come out, and I'm 100% sure they're splitting on the road. There's no way they're going down 0-2. And then when they're going home with a split, the pressure's on the T-Wolves. So it's like I got the Suns in 5 games. I think they're gonna handle this team.
That's a good pick. I have the Suns in six, actually, for basically all the same reasons. I think if the Suns can split, going back to Phoenix, those young dudes in Minnesota might crack.
But the recipe for the T Wolves is Edwards has to be in transition, running, getting people in foul trouble.
Do you think the size of Carl Towns and Gobert just it can hurt or destroy the Suns? Because who the Suns got at center? Eubanks,
That's gonna
Bol.
they're gonna struggle to guard the Suns a lot, like in this series.
Both teams you're saying are going to struggle to guard each other then.
Right, and I think Towns can be kept in check. I think Edwards is gonna hog the ball more than he should. He's not going to be trying to dump it down. So if he's taking 25 shots, like I think he will, 25, 28 shots, like, and you keep him volume like the Suns can, but they're 3 guys.
Yeah, it's tough to bet against KD and LeBron and Steph. Man, I hate betting against those guys. I hate seeing my favorite players kind of grow old.
Right.
You know. So we both have the Suns moving on. So the 4-5 matchup. One of the best matchups in the postseason right here. We have the Clippers versus the Mavericks, and I'll throw it to you.
We got the Clippers winning. Kawhi Leonard has owned Luka in all these playoffs. Going back years, we've knocked out Luka before. Then Luka comes back. He's averaging even more points, and we still find a way to win. Like the perfect recipe for a dude like Luka and Kyrie on offensive heavy too is 2 guys like Kawhi and Paul George. You got 2 locks out there. They're tall. They got length. They can bother your shot, and they still have offense, so they can still attack them, get them in foul trouble, make them more tentative on defense. The Suns, or excuse me, the Mavericks. It's kind of like that, Russ Harden Houston type duo where you have this super backcourt. I think they set the record right for most points.
Officially.
Russ and Harden would have qualified, but they didn't get to enough games. Only played 56, and that was the COVID year.
The 2019, 2020.
But they averaged 61.5 as a duo unofficially. So I've seen this type of team before, and the strategy, as long as the Clippers are healthy, I've got the Clippers in 6 games. I think our bench is great. I think we can, if Kyrie and Luka are taking 20 plus shots apiece, like you can take a punch from 2 players. You're not going to win even if they each had 35. That's 70 points. Like so, the recipe is to keep other people in check, stay home on defense, allow Kawhi and Paul George to defend, and also make sure you give them the ball to attack Kyrie and Luka because they're not defensive players. You get them in foul trouble, you might get the coach to pull them out early. Get yourself off to a better start that way. I think we can dominate the glass with Zubac and Westbrook. Westbrook's going to be a big impact in this series. His ability to dime and find our shooters and still put pressure.
I also want to point out his defense. Westbrook's an excellent defender. He's very strong, very high IQ.
It's just his rebounding that's the most important thing. Like most people don't know, he's the only player 6'3" or under to have over 8,000 rebounds. He's also top 70 all time in rebounds per game as a point guard. So he has more than most centers have, So definitely an awesome series to watch. The Clippers just have to continue to shoot well. They've been a top 5 3-point shooting team all year. As long as that keeps up, and Harden is also, we haven't even talked about him. Harden, like Russ, just keep running the offense, feature Kawhi and Paul George, and then look for your shot downhill. The Clippers just have we don't have 2 guys averaging 30 like they do, but we got 4 or 5 guys. So I definitely like our team. We match up really well with the Mavs.
To me, I have this series going 7. And I think some of the wins Dallas is going to get, for our younger viewers, they might not be the basketball enthusiasts or connoisseurs that we are, but there was a series when LeBron matched up with the Spurs when he was in Miami. Game 1, Spurs win by 30. Game 2, Heat win by 30. I think we could see something similar where some of the wins are just blowout wins. But that doesn't mean it's not going 7. People don't understand that. Oh, well, Dallas wins game 1 by 40. Yeah, but I still predicted it to go 7. That's in my calculation. So you have to go up against Ramadan Kyrie Irving. This dude isn't eating or drinking any food on game days and dropping 40. Like, this dude is the
Zen
Zen
master.
master. He's tapping into his key. He's all spiritual. Kyrie's a problem.
He's locked in.
You know how I feel about Kyrie when he was with LeBron in Cleveland. Kyrie's one of my favorite players. When Kyrie's on, he could very well be called the best point guard in the entire association.
Like a Gilbert Arenas type.
You know, and he's playing alongside Kyrie. The Clippers, a lot of their problems go away if Kawhi and PG can go be the 6'8" locks they're fucking supposed to be. A lot of the problems go away if they can do their job. Russ, I think he should start. I don't know why he comes off the bench. He can go get you 15 assists a game. Harden,
10 rebounds.
8 points a quarter. I'm looking at James Harden. 8 points a quarter. Do that for me. And that's a recipe for success. Russ, just focus on passing, normal actions, normal plays you run with the Clippers, easy actions with Kawhi and PG. We've seen that. Russ can dominate this series.
Off the bench, spark plug, Norm Powell.
You mentioned the matchups. No better team to throw at the Mavericks than the Clippers.
Yeah, 3-and-D guys.
You know, it's the perfect matchup. I have it going 7. I have the Clippers in 7. I have the Clippers in 7. They're gonna move
Fun
on.
series.
They're gonna move on to play.
Maybe the best first round series we have.
Yeah, definitely. So I have the Clippers moving on in the West in the second round to play OKC, and we have the Suns moving on to play Denver as well. So moving on to the Suns versus Denver in the second round. How do you see that going? We also saw this matchup last year in the postseason.
I still have the Nuggets winning the series. I still feel like the Suns, their defensive inconsistency is really going to be exposed this series. You know, I think the Nuggets are going to get so many assists in this series. They're going to win the rebounding battle. So, but it's still going to be competitive because I see the Suns at least winning one road and one home game in this series. And if it gets to a 7, then the Suns, I would give them the advantage because they have all these guys who can pop off now. But I got the Nuggets probably in 6 games. I feel like they're just too much. Their offense is just well-oiled machine at this point.
The Suns have struggled to integrate Bradley Beal really effectively.
And if you're still struggling to integrate your style and run your defense, it's not going to be worked out against the
defending champ.
Against the defending champs. So I got the Nuggets in 6 games.
I agree with that. And also in the second round for the West, we have OKC versus the Clippers.
My favorite series.
Russ and Harden, their stomping grounds, growing up in OKC, playing on that court in the postseason.
Oh, yeah.
You know that's going to be a sentimental moment, just for not only the crowd, not only the fans, but for the players themselves. How do you see this series going down?
This will be a super fun series. As you said, like back where it all began, we've seen Russ and Harden play there before. We've seen Russ and PG play there before. Not to mention, like, they've played together, and this is their 3rd time playing together. So it's really rare that they're still, on the same team. And now to come back, and you're still trying to make your first championship run, and you have to pay, you have to go through this OKC grounds. Like that's really cool. I would like it to be the Clippers in 6 games. I definitely think the Thunder are too good to just mop the floor with. Shea's gonna have at least one great game, but it all comes down to how good Kawhi and PG can guard this guy
and how healthy they can stay
and how healthy they're able to stay. But it's definitely it's gonna be the toughest series. I think it'll be even tougher than the Mavs series because this team's just. Their pace is, a little bit better, I feel like. So they're tougher to get back against transition. But I got
not as predictable.
Yeah, they're really balanced. Like, they hit you from mid-range, they hit you from everywhere. The ball moves around. But yeah, I got the Clippers in 6 games. Tough game.
I definitely have the Clippers as well. I want to mention James Harden. I want to mention Westbrook. Starting in OKC, they're going to go off. You're going to see them revert back and have almost a return game. Remember LeBron's return to Cleveland? You're going to see something like that. And I wouldn't be surprised. Say Russ has been coming off the bench this whole playoff run. I wouldn't be surprised if just for the moment, one of those games at OKC, you see Russ get the starting nod. Just because of what it means to the player. You can't deny that if you're a
And
coach.
the crowd respects him too, even as a road player now.
That's going to be a great series. So I definitely have the Clippers moving on to play Denver in the conference finals. And wow, I don't know
Health.
I don't know who the Clippers can throw on Jokic, and I don't know who Denver can throw on PG and Kawhi.
The key to this series is James Harden. This is the trade. This is what you made the trade for. You got to have a guy who can. He's got to go at Murray like he's never gone at a guy before. Like I still think he's better than Jamal Murray. I still think he's better. Murray's a great player, but Harden's still he's still better. He's got to get him in foul trouble. Try to get 18 points every half, like in the first half, not like every half, but like come out first half 16, 18 points every game. Make that your goal.
Yeah.
Don't come out just looking for your. We'll get Kawhi and PG going.
Russ can do that.
Yeah,
you focus on give me 8 points a quarter.
I need Mike D'Antoni, James Harden for us to win this series because then that's going to give the Nuggets too much to deal with on defense. If Harden's going crazy, and then you still got Kawhi and Paul, you still got Norm off the bench, you still have our
Bones Highland.
Like,
the Nuggets gave up on Bones. He used to be a part of Denver, and now he'd be on the Clippers. He'd have some ammo for them.
And health, like if we're not healthy, like if all of a sudden we get there and Kawhi can't play or PG's out, then I think the Nuggets are better than us if we're not at full strength. So I want to stress that, like if one of our guys goes out, I feel like they can beat us. But as long as we have all our guys and it's a fair fight, I feel like we can win this game. We can win this series in 7 games.
Right, and I've said this privately. The Clippers are such a good team in terms of how star heavy they are. If you lost Kawhi Leonard, like you still have Russ, you still have James Harden, you still have Paul George. If that was the Pistons team, they'd be ecstatic and thinking they could win a championship. Just that roster alone. Like the Clippers are so good. Like, even without a star, there are teams that would die to have that team. So even with that being said, I just don't know the matchup for Jokic. He's going to have a 30-point triple-double every game, and I think that's going to be too much for the Clippers. And the duo of Jamal Murray and Jokic, their chemistry is so good that it might make them the best duo in basketball. The big and the small. We don't really see that a lot anymore. And their chemistry is really something that needs to be studied. Like in-depth, super high analysis, breaking down all these plays. Like these dudes are on one page. Just one look.
And Joker's his vision's so elite. Like I remember a play he showed me in a Laker game where Austin Reeves was in the back quarter and he went to make a steal on Jokic. Jokic wasn't even looking, and he moves at the perfect moment and hits Reeves' guy that he left in the corner for 3, like Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
So it's like he can see everything on the court.
The way he can map the court.
The dude's got a 99 pass.
Like him and LeBron are the smartest players in basketball.
The Clippers have to lock up the 3-point line. Like you got to get back. You got to do all. You got to be a great defensive team. Like
I just don't think there's enough size on the Clippers. I think Zubac, he gets torched. I know the Clippers just signed Kai Jones. I think he gets cooked by Jokic. I just think Jokic is too big of a matchup.
As long as he doesn't get 30 rebounds a game, like he's gonna get his average, but you can't let him get 20 rebounds like at halftime.
I'm just looking at what he did to AD in the conference finals last year.
Right, and I'm just thinking all those assists he's getting, he's not gonna get that many easy assists against our team. We got a lot more perimeter defense on our team, so we're not trying to just give them catch and shoot shots.
I understand.
But yeah, they're the champs.
So in my NBA playoff prediction, the finals prediction, I have the Celtics versus the Nuggets, and you have
Clippers-Bucks.
The Clippers and the Bucks. I'll let you start.
I like the Clippers in this series. I think we've come this far, and we've just played a team that was better. If they can beat the Nuggets, they can beat the Bucks. So we're going to be prepared for that team. Lillard's defense, like he's going to be playing 2 true top 75 guards in Harden and Westbrook. So we'll have three of them in one series, basically. And I don't think Lillard's going to be able to D him up. I think we're going to get off, and we're going to have one of our guys on Lillard, so we'll be able to slow him down as well. You can put Kawhi on Giannis. You know what I mean? That's a good matchup.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like like if the Nuggets or if the Bucks had Drew Holiday still, they'd be better suited for this series because you need that extra, great defensive player out there. Lillard's not a great defensive player, so we're going to be able to push the ball. Our guards are going to be able to get where they want to go.
Right.
And then Lillard's going to have a tougher time getting to where he wants to go. We're going to apply the LeBron strategy on Giannis, try to turn him into a jump shooter, wall off the paint. Our bench has firepower. Norm Powell can be huge off the bench. If we're on the road and he comes in and gives us, 15 points, it's like that's just relief points.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many defensive matchups. The Bucks and Giannis can't guard 5 people.
Right.
Like who's their second best defensive player? Middleton. You know what I mean? Like he's not stopping Kawhi or Harden. Like Giannis is gonna, and if he helps, he's gonna be giving the spot up threes to all our guys. I feel like we match up really well with this team.
Right. So you got the Clippers beating the Bucks in how many games?
5.
5 games. That would be a hell of a story. If Russ got one, if Harden got one, and think of the rivalry between Lillard and Russ. There are Lillard fans who think he's better than Russ, and Russ fans saying, body of work. Are you kidding me? Get out of here.
Right.
He sent y'all home with that one famous shot. So Lillard having a chance to get his first ring against Harden and Russ.
And they're all top 75. Think about that.
That's almost like a bragging rights series. That's almost like a bragging rights series for like the Twitter community, the X community. But in my NBA Finals, I have the Celtics versus the Nuggets, and I have Jason Tatum winning in 6. Right. 4-2. I got the Celtics beating the Nuggets. Gonna be a hell of a series. I just think Tatum is in that Kobe mode, that Mamba mentality. He worked out with Kobe before Kobe famously and tragically, passed away, and there aren't too many players where you kind of look at and you see Kobe kind of. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the Celtics getting Porzingis, getting Drew Holiday, like I said in the beginning of the video, when they had that offseason, my initial thought was they're winning the championship. They got so close, and they just added Porzingis. They just added Drew Holiday, and they kept Brook Lopez. They kept a lot of their guys. They didn't really lose anything. So the Celtics got a lot better. Got a lot better. The Nuggets, who did they add? They actually lost Bruce Brown.
Right.
He was actually big in the postseason, putting up 20 off the bench.
They got Reggie Jackson, right?
I don't believe. I'm not sure. I'd have to relook at the rosters.
I believe they have him.
I'm not sure, but I think the Celtics got better.
I think Drew is a good matchup for getting through those screens that Jokic and Murray like to run. Like Holiday just blows up screens. Like that's just what he does. Like he just blows up that shit. So
I just think it's hell of a story if Tatum wins this MVP or wins this trophy and Finals MVP.
From the Nuggets' perspective, seeing Jokic play at Boston, he's an all-time great. Playing in the Garden, like in that environment, like
going for a repeat.
Winning in Boston in the finals, like that's
for
tough.
A repeat.
Like he's truly that's like earning your all-time great badge. Like if you can win in the finals, and with the Ghosts of Boston, some kind of beat you.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm still salty that Denver had to play Miami in the finals.
So now they have to really earn it.
I want them to earn it in the finals, and I think Boston is gonna take him out. I think Brown's gotten better. Tatum's gotten better. Tatum's had low-key his best season as a pro. He's had his best true shooting percentage.
Porzingis is a good matchup for Jokic just because of his height. He's actually taller than him and can shoot the ball. Obviously, Jokic is better, but Porzingis is a way better defensive player. He can block shots.
Right.
So he's just an interesting 5 to put on him.
Right. So those are my postseason predictions. I have the Celtics. You have the Clippers. Either way, when I was making and writing up and thinking about all these series and who I'm going to pick, man, it's a head scratcher. It's almost impossible. Like if somebody gets this right, like how the NCAA bracket, if somebody has this bracket right with the amount of games it took in each series, that's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible.
Yeah.
All these series could go 6 or 7, but they won't, so it's going to be interesting to see To me, like you said, first round matchup: Clippers,
Who's
Mavericks.
your dark horse team? A team outside of your winner that you could say, all right, if this team doesn't win, then it's probably going to be like these guys. Dark horse team. Probably the Thunder, just because they're a 1 seed and they're just been awesome all year.
To me, my four title favorites are the Bucks, the Celtics,
Clips, Nuggets.
the Clippers, the Nuggets, and I guess add Dallas in
Yeah.
there. Whoever wins
that series
is going to have a hell of a chance.
They're going to have a hell of a chance.
They're going to have a hell of a chance. So yeah, guys, this wraps up our NBA 2024 playoff prediction video. Let us know down below in the comments, who do you have winning it all?